Welcome back to Seeing Scarlet. Today we have another interview for you guys, and we're very, very excited about this one. We're getting to some Texas Tech volleyball players, and we're starting with Maddie Correa, going to be a junior this upcoming year, and has already had some really fun, big moments in a Red Raider uniform. And we're going to talk all about that. So, Maddie, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, Maddie! Welcome in. How are you doing today, Maddie?
I'm good. How are y'all?
We're doing great. We're excited to talk to you. That's for sure. So Maddie, you tell us, I know a lot of our listeners, we have run through like our typical sports of like football, basketball, and volleyball might be a little bit of a new sport. So we might have some language jargon questions. That's kind of been my favorite thing to talk about lately. But Can you tell us, where did your journey begin? It looks like you went to Reagan High School, where you are still the leader of all-time digs, which first thing, we got to talk about what digs are. But you were all-time leader with over like 2,000 digs. So obviously high school, you got to Texas Tech. You're a big deal. Tell us where it began, Maddie.
Oh, geez. So I started...
Take it all.
Let me just give you a background. So my dad... he had coached at Reagan, the high school that I went to, and he originally coached football for like 8 years, but he like knew volleyball and he played it himself. But his main sport was like basketball and football, and so he had coached that until he originally next wanted to coach volleyball at Reagan, and they had an opening at an assistant coaching job, and so he started that. I was still like young when that happened, but I have an older sister who'd also went and played volleyball at Reagan, and so I was literally with every time she was at practice, I was there. I was just watching. I was just so amazed by the sport, and so I started picking that up myself. And so I originally started playing club volleyball when I was 7, and then I just kept playing, and I picked it up really fast, and I just really think it was because of being around it like my whole life pretty much. And so I really did start club when I was 7. I never did like any of like the YMCA, any of like the like rec type of things. I just went straight into it. My dad just kind of was like, let's just do it, and I was like, all right, okay.
All right.
So I did that, and then played at this club named Alamo in San Antonio, and so played there for pretty much my whole club career, and then went to Reagan. It was funny because my sister, she had just graduated, and so when she graduated, I came in, so we never got to like play together. But I ended up just like taking her number, so I like used the same number she used, and we kind of made it like a family number. And so I was able to do that.
Did you break any of her records when you came after her?
No, so she was a setter, so she had a different.
That's fair.
She got lucky on that one because I would have came for it for sure.
She can like tell people like I would have set records, but I was setting up the records for everybody else. I was doing all the dirty work while y'all took the
that
shot.
Is some sister energy. I'm into it. I love that.
It literally like. Me and my sister are very competitive, and like we just come from a competitive family, and then like you mix my dad with all of that, and it's just like
chaos.
We'll play like Uno, and it's like we're like going at each other's throats for that.
Dangerous.
But so I did that. I went to, and then I committed my sophomore year of high school to Tech.
Cool. Sophomore year of high school.
Yeah. So
like, do you remember like what you were feeling, or like what that was? Was that like, okay, this is the next step. I'm prepared. I'm ready. Or were you just like, okay, yeah, like what were you feeling?
It was definitely something that was really nerve-wracking to me because I forgot to mention this. I had played up in clubs, so like I had always played a year above my age.
Okay,
so
Maddie.
Like these girls were all like they were all older than me. They were already like. They were a year ahead, and so they were already starting to like get recruited, and so I was playing with these teams, and so I was on the same level with them at that point with recruiting, and so this was before they had the recruiting change about how you can't talk to coaches until your junior year.
Yeah.
That was way before that got implemented, and so then I just committed, and I had gone on visits, and the unofficial visits, and then they had a way of like doing it where you weren't breaking any rules, but it was still like it was happening very young. And so I started my recruiting that way, and I came on a visit to Tech, and I honestly didn't really know much about Tech at that point. I was like Lubbock, like I don't even know where that is, which is weird because I'm from Texas, so it's like you would think I know like most of the I didn't.
You're from San Antonio though, you know?
Like, yeah, that is true.
You got you're a big city girl.
Yeah. And so my dad was like, okay, let's go check it out. And I was like, all right, like sure. And so I came and I was like, wow, like this is a really beautiful school. And like I wanted a big school, but I didn't want like a big campus, and so like, I wanted still a college town like feel, and not like Tech checked all those boxes off. And so I loved the coaching staff at that point, and I was like, you know what, this I can see myself here. It's close to home, but not too close. Like I still have a good distance away, but my parents can come and watch me and all that stuff, which was big because I really wanted them to be there for a lot of my games. And I committed, and I was like, thank God I'm done. I don't have to worry about that recruiting process, because that was I just can't, like, all I can remember is just how nerve-wracking it was, and then like having to get on calls with coaches, and I'm like not even like I'm still in high school, and I'm like,
I know, right?
Like, how do I even do this? But it did help with my sister and my dad, and my sister had gone through it before. She went to this school in Arkansas Fort Smith, and played volleyball there. So I had seen it with her before, and so I was like kind of used to it. I was ready, but man, it was definitely a process. But I would like to say that mine was like a little bit easier because it was a little bit like I could commit when I was already a sophomore, so I was able to play like the rest of my time without having to worry about the recruiting process. I was already committed, and all I had to do was just keep impressing the coaches. That was it. Like I didn't have to worry about other schools or anything like that. But
that's true. And you stayed with it. Like, I mean, a lot of people commit in that earlier. By the time they get to their senior year, they're like, wait, do I want to go here? You're like, no, I knew a long time ago. I'm good. Just keep the spot open. I'll be there, coach.
Yeah.
So talk to us about like you talked about your sister as a setter and you're a libero, right? Right. Okay.
Yes, you got that right. Yes.
Okay. I was like, I think I know how to say this word.
Yes.
So how would you describe that to people that like don't know volleyball? Like, what do you do? Why are you in that position? It seems like you're doing really well in that position. So has that always been your role, or like, is this new with Tech?
What's funny is like ever since I started playing, like that has always been my role, which I feel like I got pretty lucky because that's not the case for a lot of volleyball players. Except in middle school, I was a setter and a hitter, which was the first for me. And I had never, I don't hit. I'm like, that's just not me. I'm 5'6". Like it doesn't work that way.
I was about to say, man, you must have some ups, or at least compared to the rest of them.
No, it was my middle school. I don't even,
it's
I don't count it, but I count
There's
it.
no
you know
rules in middle school.
Exactly.
There's no rules.
It was like
still
whoever
the best.
played.
You're the best
the
of the best, I'm sure.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, for sure.
But during club days, high school, I was always a libero. And so I got lucky with that. And I was able to kind of just continue to grow in just that position. I didn't have to worry about doing multiple things. But when I was younger, my dad did have me train like everything just because you never know. But I luckily didn't need to worry about like the setting part of it. And so I will say it just like, it's the same type of thing, but it's just a different level of play. Like from high school to college, or even club to college, it is like a whole different level of play. The game is faster, like mentally, you just have to like really work on like being strong mentally and not have to like, because it's like, you're the youngest one, you are at a new, girls are built just different, and you're just like, what? Like, you guys weren't like this junior year of high school. Like, where did this come from?
What happened?
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that was like my biggest thing, was like having to work mentally. I never had any like struggles that way, or I didn't think it did, and it never came up when I was in club. Even I still played at a high level in club, so it was like me, I thought, oh, it'll be kind of similar. Like, I'm playing these girls who are committed to Texas, and like this is the same thing. No, absolutely not. Like, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, and I remember, like, I can't even remember, like, my first, like, tournament at Tech. I was like what? Like, these girls are just
so good.
I'm like, I don't even know. And, like, I graduated early. So, like, I came to college when I was 17.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Dude,
yeah.
Okay.
So many layers.
I keep forgetting things. I'm just like, oh, wait. I did also come to college.
Casually a genius.
She's like, I'm trying to black that out, you know?
Like, I forget. Like, and, like, so me and then Madison, who is in my grade, so we came in together. It was just us two. Okay. And we both graduated early. We both played up in club, so we had played against each other. We knew each other, and we both agreed, like, let's just graduate early. Like, the team that we're playing club with, they're all graduated already. So, like, instead of us staying in our actual age group, like, I think it'll be beneficial for us to just go up and experience college a little without having to feel pressure. Because technically that was during, like, their COVID season. So it was like, that spring, like, they still played games. Yeah. So, like, we couldn't suit out because it would have screwed up our eligibility. So we were just kind of there to practice and, like, kind of get used to all the workouts and classes on top of all of that. So it was like, we were like, you know what, like, let's just do it. We took, I think I only had to take, like, maybe one summer class, like, going from high school, because I had taken, like, dual credit and, like, AP stuff. So I was like, it's not that hard for me to do it, and I don't think it was that hard for Madison.
I'm going to graduate college by my sophomore year if I take more than this.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, I'm just going to do what I need, and there it was. So when I came to college, I was 17, and that was, like, the biggest joke ever, because it was like, oh, she's the baby. Like, she
little
is
baby Maddie.
The actual baby. And I was like, I mean, yeah, I have girls that were, like, 23, and I'm 17, and I'm like...
That is crazy to think about.
Like, what? Like, and I remember coming in, and I was like, okay, like, my team, like, these girls, they're good. And then I had my first tournament in the fall, and I was like, oh, dang, like, it just progressively gets worse. Yeah. But, yeah, no, and it was definitely, I feel like that was the biggest change, was just the speed of the game and having to, like, and I'm very much a perfectionist, so, like, in high school and club and stuff like that, like, I needed to have, like, a perfect game, and it was a little bit easier to have those games because the game wasn't as fast as it is now. And so when I got to college, I was like, okay, like, you have to be okay with, like, making those mistakes, like, you'll have to be okay, like, shanking balls, like, it's gonna happen, like, these girls are good, like, that's who you're playing, like, hitters make mistakes all the time, like, if they can do it, we can do it too. I feel like that's what's also hard about being in a defensive role, is you, like, start the play, so it's like, if you don't make a good pass, like, your team can't do anything with it. And I think that's
no, like, pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so kind of the same with, like, hitters, like, they finish the play. So if you have a good play, first and second contact, that third, like, person, no pressure, but you better put it away type of thing. So it's like, on all aspects of volleyball, I feel like it's a big head game, and so you have to just stay in it. And that was what I had to work really hard towards my freshman year, was, like, working it and really just, like, pushing myself to be like, okay, like, how can I be okay with, like, still making mistakes, but, like, playing good on top of that. And I, like, really worked hard with Tony, and I had really had some conversations with him, because me and him had to sit down and be like, listen, you don't need to be perfect, like, and I was like,
perfect is unattainable.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, okay, and then, like, I would be like, yeah, I'm good, and then I'd go into practice and I'd, like, shake 2 balls, and I'm like, like, you know, and then I have to, like, it's just, like, reminding yourself, like, especially on, like, the days where you have a good day and you don't even think about it, and then the next day it's not a good day and you're, like, fighting to, like, really keep a positive mindset. That was my biggest, like, learning curve. my freshman year, but Jeez. I would say that's the biggest thing.
So it seems like the mental side of the game is what you've grown the most since coming
exactly.
to college.
And because like the physical will come because you are like the amount of workouts you're doing, the practices, like you're constantly around other people who are good, so like you're gonna automatically push yourself that way. But it's like the mental, it's like no one necessarily sees that, or no one knows that you could be going through so many problems happening. So it's like that is like you're really kind of working on your own. But it's good though, because I'm glad we're in a part of sports where like mental health is talked about, because
let's go
like we have like our sports psychologist. She's really good of making sure if we need someone, you talk to her. If we want to set up like weekly meetings, whether you're having a good day or a bad day, like make it kind of routine. And I had done that my freshman year. And I remember because like growing up, like I never like had that mental issue come to myself to see it.
It's hard to have mental struggles when you're just dominating your
so like I didn't necessarily think of it at all. And so I remember thinking to myself, I was like, oh, I don't need therapy, like I don't need this, I don't need that. And I was just so like reluctant towards it. And I remember talking to my parents, and my parents were like, they weren't really used to that either. So like we were just like, do we, like my mom and dad were like, you need to just try it. And I was like, no, like I can't, like I don't want to do that, like that's so dumb, like I don't want to. And I had this like idea in my head of like what therapy looked like, and I was like just putting such a negative like stigma on it. And then I like experienced more and more, and I was like, I can't do this on my own, like I can't keep trying to like figure this out myself. And so I remember when I talked to my sports psychologist, she helped me in ways that I was like, never thought of it like that. Like, and we really found ways to like cope with things when I was like, especially it's like in-game things, like when you can't go and like meditate or something like that, you know, like to relax yourself. Like I can't do that mid-game. Like
you had to refocus.
And so exactly. So we figured out things to like help. While like I'm in the game, the small little things to like kind of help me out. So I definitely think that's probably my biggest area of growth there, was like really figuring out that mental part of everything.
Oh, I love that so much.
That makes me so hype. Like Maddie, just hearing you talk for the past, however long we've been on here, I'm like, your perspective is awesome, especially at the age that you're at. Like the things that you're saying right now, I'm like, damn, that was me last year. Like
20 years old.
And I never have thought about like, because we've talked to a lot of athletes who have talked about the mental health piece, and I think it's really cool because it's very unprompted from me and Shelby. It's just organically that y'all talk about it. And I've never thought about the specifics of like the sports psychology of it and the way of preparing y'all for in-game stuff. I'm always thinking like, y'all got lives outside of sports, and like I go to therapy and it's this type of advice. Like I can go meditate for 5 minutes, but it totally makes sense on that end. And I think that's really cool. I hadn't thought about that before, of like, oh yeah, of course they need tools to support themselves mentally during the game. Like that totally makes sense. So thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Of course.
Very impressed. All right. Do y'all want to talk about volleyball, I guess, again? Yeah. Maddie, tell us what a dig is. What does this mean? Tell us in your own definition, your own words.
See, I'm glad you're like asking this, because like I always cringe if I hear somebody like not using the correct terminology, and I'm just like,
help us.
That's what our podcast is for. We're trying to inform the people so they'll go out and yell at y'all appropriately at the game.
Yeah.
Exactly. What a dig by Maddie!
Yell at y'all appropriately.
Yes, that's what we need. That's what we need at that point. Yes. But a dig is just when a hitter is hitting the ball, and that's a dig. But like if you're passing a ball, that's from a serve.
Okay.
So a pass and a dig are two different things.
And what about throw in a kill is a thing as well?
So so a kill is when the hitter is actually hitting the ball and we don't dig it up.
Oh, okay. Dig it up is a good way to describe it.
So it's like technically we're supposed to get the things to like prevent them from getting a kill.
Got it.
Is how you would think of it.
Got it. And your role specifically,
killing the kills.
You're killing the kills.
Exactly.
Okay, so but it can only come, would you say, from a serve if you dig it up that way? That's a dig, or
no, the serve is a pass.
Okay.
Or you could say like receive or reception. So like it's really called serve receive when they're serving and we're on the receiving end of it.
Okay.
And then like point scoring. Mm-hmm. I'm getting a little bit more complicated, but point scoring is like when you have a dig and we get a kill off of our dig. So it's like I dig it, they set it up, and we get a kill. That'd be a point score.
Got it.
Boom.
Yep.
Digging is basically, I mean, you're like on the ground all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't play volleyball, but one of my best friends did, so I would go watch, and I think she played the same position as you, and this was like high school level, not what you do, but I remember like, why are you're just covered in bruises all the time? I don't understand.
Yes, it's crazy. Yeah, it's like to a point where I like look at my like legs, like,
yikes,
my elbows, and I'm like, where did that come from? Because like at that point, like you don't, unless it's like you're hitting it really hard. Because sometimes I have a few where I'm like, like, that one really got me. Like, but other times, like it becomes so effortless where you don't even know when you hit. Like certain parts a little bit harder than others, but like
it's just numb at this point. I don't have a feeling.
Yeah, I'm like at that point I'm used to it, but like it's like my hip bones is what like when I fall on those probably hurt the most.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
they gotta have padding. Do they not have like little pads? They
like
do football pad type thing.
They do, but like I feel like that would bug me. Like somebody on my team, she had to have them because she kept falling on that same spot. So then the bruise became like really bad.
Perpetual.
So she had to wear it. And so the pads were like sticking out, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I can't do that.
That goes back to the mental side.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that was in my head the whole game.
I was like, I'm gonna be thinking about it. Is it gonna move? Am I falling?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Unless it's like really bad, but
speaking of pain, we did have a listener question that you may have seen because it was on Twitter, but they were asking you how painful, if you want to relive this memory, it was to take a spike to the face to save a rally. Not only did she do so, but jumped back into the action almost immediately and made another save to win a point. That was my favorite player of the entire season. That's from Roger Hardy on Twitter.
I did see that one, and then I was like,
she's like, oh gosh,
I remember that. I'm in a daze.
I was like looking through my Twitter, and I was like, okay, which game was that? And I went back and I looked at the video.
You don't even remember.
Because I've been hit in the face.
It's got to be all the time, right?
So many times.
In your position, you have to. I feel like.
Yeah, like it is brutal. Like I think there was one time in high school, like, I was a junior and we were playing at a club tournament, and so we have this 6'4" girl coming in and like hitting on the right side, which is like if I were to be digging in left back, it's like this. Okay. That's like the proximity. But if it was like the outside, it would be like this. So you have a little bit more time. But when you're digging straight down the line, you have like no time. And so this girl's actually plays at Nebraska now, but she literally was like coming up. My blocker was not up at all at that point because they got stuck with the middle. So I'm like, oh, shoot. And so luckily I like put my hands up like this. And I got it up and I was like, okay. Like I had it here. It hit my hands. We're good. And so then the next game, this was all within like the same time frame.
Yeah.
And so this other time, it was the same team, but a different girl. Same on the right side.
Oh, no.
Nobody was blocking. This time, I didn't get my hands up fast enough.
Oh, no.
I got smacked right here.
Oh,
and I start, like, my nose is, like, gushing blood. And I'm like, oh, like, it's fine. Like, I'm fine. And so my club coach goes, just put a tampon in there and get back in. I was like, okay. So they're like, I put a tampon in my nose.
That's our girl.
And just went back in and I kept playing. And then afterwards, I was like, what
happened? Yeah.
I don't feel that great. But luckily, it was like the end of the tournament. So I was like, good. But then I got checked out and she was like, just like keep an eye on it.
Oh.
And we flew back home.
Oh, no.
And I was fine. But, and then I forgot there was another time that same weekend, the next day. The next day I got hit again. Same spot.
Break. Maddie. Give her a week off.
Yeah, and I didn't get concussed, so.
I guess it's your nose, not your brain, but they're very close together.
It was like both right here too, like in the bridge of my nose.
You gotta be so tough.
Have y'all ever been hit in the nose by a basketball? Like, I feel like it's the same feeling of like.
Not much to a basketball, but I've taken an elbow many a times in basketball from like a post player right in the nose.
See, I didn't really play basketball, so I'm not really familiar with these feelings.
Well, let's go to the rec and let me throw a basketball at your face and you can compare.
I'm sorry, volleyball coaches, we're not going to do that. That's not going to happen.
It's for science, Shelby.
Well,
it's for science.
It's so funny because I forget. I tell the story a lot. I feel this. Like, you know when you go to like, I don't know, like, I don't want to say conventions, but like some type of thing where it's like, introduce a fun fact about yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, oh, I don't have one. But then I think about it and I'm like, I actually do. So like, okay, I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, I can't
So like,
wait.
you see this dent?
in your head? Okay, I do see a little bit.
That.
Yeah.
Okay, it's more like, you can see it a little bit more in person, but like.
I could see it.
Okay, that's a permanent dent in my forehead because when I was like, I would say like 4 years old, my sister was throwing a softball in the backyard.
Oh no.
And so I am far out of the way. Like my dad was like, yeah, she's good. She's far out of the way. My sister was not very good at softball. So she's like trying to pitch and like throw. Her aim was terrible. It somehow came up and it hit me right here. And I had a ball like in my like out of my head. My under eyes was swelling, purple everywhere. Yeah, it was so bad. And I never got checked out. We were chilling. Like I just kept going. And I had like a dance recital and like
a dance recital.
I wish I had the picture, but you can like see I'm like in my little costume. I'm like literally right this like purple. I'm like,
oh my gosh, that makes such great like Twitter meme material. This little girl in like her costume, which just looks like she's been in a fight.
No, it was so funny, and I was just like, I really want to say that is the reason why like I've gotten hit so many times, and like I just kind of bounced back. I want to like let me knock on my head or something.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Literally made to be a defender.
A libero, yeah.
Because like you gotta have a special type of mentality.
Yeah,
totally.
I'm sure your teammates that are like setters and hitters, like you're talking about, are like, I would know. Not me. Those people are crazy back there. Like,
yeah, it's so funny when that happens because it's like there's things that I look at them and I'm like, I could never do that. But then there's things that they look at me and they're like, So it's just like it's like a type of relationship where we're like, okay, I appreciate what you do for each other. Like, yeah, I can never do it, but I'm glad you're doing it. Like, you know, like that type of thing.
Totally. Yeah. Wow. Okay. This is so good. We could talk about that forever. I have questions about like this upcoming season with volleyball, and you talked already about like Nebraska and Texas. I think they won the championship last year. So like, unfortunately, we know
they're
we get
really
it.
Good at volleyball.
We get it. But Maddie, like, what are you looking forward to next season? Are there teams that you're like, you know what, we're going to take Texas down this next year? Like, they came through and did what they needed to do. But this year, or what are the things that you're looking forward to next season?
Honestly, I have been thinking about this because I was like, we have like more teams obviously joining into the Big 12, and Texas and Oklahoma are still in our conference schedule. So they won't leave until next year. And then, so we have like multiple, like more games, more teams. And so I think that biggest thing is like, cause the teams that joined us are good at volleyball. And so, it makes for a tougher competition, which like is always good to want to play because it's just like, if you go out winning, you beat the best of the best. But if you go out losing, like at least you put up a fight type of thing. Yeah, so it's like, you kind of just go in there like, let's just whatever, like let's just do what we can. We have faith in our team, like that type of thing. Our team is fairly new, like a lot of us are new girls. So I am just kind of looking forward to getting into the gym with like our full team and kind of seeing the new dynamics of everything, just because it is so hard to like get with a new team and like try to figure out everybody's personalities, everybody's like playing styles, like energy wise, like it takes some time. So I think I'm just more like excited of getting to know everybody and kind of getting used to our team, so that we can go and like play these good teams as well. So I feel like, and visiting like new schools, like we're going to BYU next year this year. I think we're going. Crap, now I can't remember which ones we're going to, but we're going to some that I've never been to.
Let me tell you, as I'm looking at y'all's schedule, y'all are going to Cincinnati.
Exactly.
Y'all
get some
are
spaghetti chili or whatever the heck they talk about up there.
Yeah, dude, Skyline. Come on, get with it. Yeah, y'all. Utah's beautiful, so like that will be a cool trip.
Yeah,
I think,
I'm excited to look at that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So and BYU's good at volleyball, so that will be, and they have a tough environment to play in. So I mean, it's always good to like get in those tough environments. Like playing at Texas last year was something else.
I bet. That place in.
Yeah, and it's a small gym, so it's like it's not like the USA where like you have like you can still hear yourself think. Like it's like you're in a small gym. People are like, here's the court. You've got fans that are right here. So it's like,
oh my gosh,
they're on
so
top
they're right
of
next
you.
To you.
Yeah, they're yelling at you. They're heckling you. It's just like, at that point, you don't really hear them yelling. Like, you don't hear what they're saying. You just hear the noise. So it's like, that was, I think, really tough environment to play in. So, like, now that we're able to get more of those types of environments, it'll be kind of good to, like, test ourselves and see, like, how we are. Because I'm, like, very big about, like, talking and energy. Like, I like to just bring so much energy. But some people don't do that. That's, like, not their type of, like, style. Yeah, they're more like some people, they like to just kind of go through it and not try to like make too much energy. Like, I'm just gonna get the job done. I'm in and out.
Yeah,
I'm very much more of like, I like to celebrate those little things. I like to like, I like to be dramatic sometimes. Like that's just how you kind of get energy.
I feel like you have to be that way in the position that you play. You're doing like you just talked about all the crazy things you hit in the face and. Like, you have to really get yourself into that mental space where you're just... And then versus, like, if those are hitters or whatever, they need to be more, like, zeroed in focus. So, from a sports psychology standpoint, I get that. Yeah. I would like you to briefly take us back, or however long you want to talk about it. But you were here in 21, right? When they made the tournament? For the first time in, like, forever.
Yeah, that was my freshman year.
Yeah, talk about that as a freshman coming in, and you had a role on that team to be able to do something that was pretty historic for this program and get them back to that. And hopefully this year we'll make it again. But 2 years ago was really fun. I remember as a fan watching. Yeah, so I think I hadn't really known the history behind Texas Tech volleyball, specifically with like tournament wise, and so I never knew that it had been that long. I just knew that it had been a while, and so it's like before obviously you were born. Like that was another joke because that's what people were saying. We're like, Maddie, like that was before you were even born, and I was like,
all right, cool. Well,
thanks,
guys. We get it,
like,
guys.
Really,
we get
it. Like, I get it. I'm the baby. Gosh, like, but yeah, like that was another like ongoing joke, but yeah, so like that's like a goal of every season. Like when you're just on a team, it's like
for sure
we want to make it to the tournament, because that's just a big like goal
celebration
for everybody. For sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. And so, and it's hard. Like you have so many teams. It's like you have to have a good record in order to get it, and it's just like people beat everyone like all the time. So it's like it's not a very like. It's not the same teams every time that go to the tournament. So it's just like, I knew that we had that goal in mind before we had even started the season. And so it's like funny because like coming in, especially as a freshman, like you don't really know what to expect. And like, I didn't know like what my role was going to be. And I like came in and I was like, I already had that idea in my head. Like I'm going to play, like I'm going to play on this team and I'm going to start and I'm going to like, that was my goal personally. I might not have had that vocal, like I didn't have that type of leadership yet because I was still a child, like coming in and like just kind of getting to know the ropes of everything and like see how that was all going. But I had like really good seniors that had kind of helped me out personally, like kind of with the speed of the game too, and like they were really good at like having my back and like trusting me.
Cool.
And it's like funny because it's like when your team trusts you, like it's just that much easier to play. And so I knew they trusted me when we went to the tournament, and it was just like a big celebration for all of us because it had been so long. And it was like, I guess that was like the starting point of like kind of the new era of Texas Tech volleyball. So
yeah,
that is, it was like great to be a part of that kind of breakthrough type of thing.
Yeah,
so,
you'll be remembered forever for
exactly.
for that team, and hopefully y'all are do it again this year. But I remember watching that, y'all almost upset that team. I don't even remember who y'all were playing. I just remember y'all almost upset them.
Florida
y'all
Gulf
won
Coast.
Didn't y'all win like
we
the first
won
set
the
or two?
First 2 sets.
Yeah.
No
and
way.
So we had won those, and I remember this game is always gonna like just
haunt
kill
you
me because like we were up 2 sets, like we were winning the 3rd set, and this team was Florida Gulf Coast, and that was like the first time you'd ever like really ever heard of them indoor wise, because beach I think they're pretty good, but
that tracks.
Indoor wise, it's like we didn't know what to expect really. And so they just start getting, it's like volleyball's like is a game of momentum. So it's like they started getting these touches, things started going their way. And so they won the 3rd set, and then at that point I just felt like things were just not going well for us, but everything was going well for them. And at that point it's like, what can you do at that point? And
it goes back to that mental thing where
exactly. And so
that is probably
tough.
something you'll use like for the rest of your career though. Like you get like you're a junior now. You talked about being the baby on the team for so long. Now you're kind of a leader moving into this season, and now you can we're gonna manifest it when you're in the postseason this upcoming year, and you're up 2 sets. You're gonna be like, God, we're not done, y'all. It's not over.
We're having fun.
Before we're finishing this right now. So.
Yeah,
it hurts,
that's how like
you'll pull from that. You'll be able to overcome that eventually.
That's like as our net like last season. I remember I was like, if we were ever up 2 sets, we all knew at that point because our team was pretty much the same, but we all knew we were like, this is not gonna happen again. Like we either finish it in 3, or if we lost a set, we're finishing it in 4. Like we are not going to 5. We're not even gonna give them a chance. Like we have to shut that down. And I think just being aware of that game, it's gonna forever haunt us, but like that made me like really keep pushing, because like I think it's just so easy to let up when you're up 2 sets to none, and you're like, and we won those sets pretty easy, like they weren't like tough, so it was like, oh, we got this, like first time in the tournament, we all like
losing it,
rookie mistake, so like at that point we were like, dang,
about it a little bit,
and so that will not happen. So
well, this is the last time we'll talk about this game, but you're right, like y'all 25-14, 25-16, and then that 3rd set, it was y'all, they won by 2, which is what you have to do, right? You have to win by 2. Okay, so that was really close, and then it just flip-flopped according to the box score. So exactly. You're totally right. I'm feeling motivated too. Like, you're like, we're finishing in 3 or 4. Like there's no 5.
Exactly. 5 sets are the worst, unless
the worst
you're the one coming out 2 sets at that point. But like 5 sets, it's just like that's a whole another game. I'm like,
it's gonna be so fun in about 5 months. Math is hard. Whenever that comes, when we're like clipping this part of the interview, compare with you celebrating winning a first round game, being like, she told y'all however many months ago that she was gonna overcome this. So but the work's already started, right? Y'all were in Europe recently.
Oh yeah,
right? Like talk about that. You talked about trying to get to know your teammates. That's a good way to get to know your teammates.
No, that I just like keep forgetting that was like literally last month. Like what's June? Yeah, that was last month. Like
country.
And that was my first time being out of the country, so I was like, wow, this is just an experience in itself. Like not even counting the volleyball that we played there, like just experiencing being on a long flight. Like it's the little things like that I was like, wow, like this is crazy. And luckily we were able to get most of our team with us, like even the incoming freshmen, they were able to come with us. There were still a few that weren't able to make it based off of like schooling, and we were still recruiting people, so like a few of them weren't able to come, but most of the team was. And so it was
cool.
Tony really like told us ahead of time that he was going to really treat this as a way like to bond and like a bonding experience. So each hotel we had a new roommate.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, nice.
So like we were at like, I think 4 or 5, I can't even remember, but so I had a new person each time, which I like loved because I wanted to really make sure, because you know when you get on a team, like you have those people that you're more close with, or like you have people that you room with and stuff like that, and so it's really easy to just go back to that and like want to just hang out with the people that you already know, but like when you're with like the same people for more than a week, like you have to like meet new people, and you're gonna have to really like get out of your comfort zone just personally, because I love to just like make new relationships with everybody. So it's like I was excited for that. I was ready to like go and meet these new freshmen that I had. Like we had met maybe a couple days before at practices, and then we were on the plane with them, and I was like, I didn't know y'all last week, but now I know y'all. Like so that was really fun to get to know our freshmen that came in. And so I mean, that was just really a cool experience. The volleyball was really good. I mean,
cool,
a whole different level of play too, and I was like, wow, these girls are good. Like
European volleyball's crazy.
And so it was hard to get used to like the environment though, because like they had there was no air conditioning in gyms.
Oh yeah, it doesn't exist
have
in Europe.
ice. Like
say they have no ice. I was about to say that.
I'm like,
you have to bring your own ice.
Yes, I'm like big on like I have to have ice in my water. Like I have to.
It's a struggle. The like, tip is, you want to know my travel tip? Go to McDonald's.
Oh yeah,
and they will go to a McDonald's actually.
If you ask for ice, they will give it to you.
Yeah, that's smart, because I did that at the airport, I think, because I needed to have ice in my. I just had to, and so playing was really hard because we didn't have any ice or cold water, and it was like room temp, and I was like, whatever. So you had to get used to that. You're all sweaty, like no air conditioning, like sweat is all on the floor. You're trying to wipe it, you just can't.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But yeah, that itself, and it was really cool to like see their different style of play, and like they play with a different ball. Like it's just kind of like a whole different thing. So it was like really cool to see their different types of like styles and techniques and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that. And we got to meet a few of the girls, like one I think on like when we played one of the Spain teams, we went to go have pizza with them after, and so we were able to like, it was hard to like talk to each other, like, but it was so funny because my table we would have like Google Translate, and we're like trying to like speak to them, and they're trying to speak to us. That goes. Yeah. So wait, you do?
Listen, I've tried. We have some Finnish athletes, and I've tried to speak Finnish.
Wait, are you talking about Saga?
Yeah, it did not go well. Did not go well.
Okay, listen, I tried. I'm trying, all right?
I mean, she can obviously speak English, but we tried to speak Finnish to her, and she was like, I don't know what this means.
It's okay, at least you tried, because I could never. It's okay.
Thank you, Maddie. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's so cool. I love how like sports can be really unifying, right? Like you didn't speak Spanish, or like
exactly,
there was that barrier, but y'all still had that connection.
Yeah,
I think it's really, really cool. You talked about this earlier, Maddie, and I want to make sure that I talk about it because it gets me so fired up. But one of the reasons why I love volleyball and watching volleyball is like what you talked about. Sometimes it's the right moment, sometimes it's not, or for the people. But when y'all score, it is like a hype party. Y'all come together, and then y'all break back out, and it's next rotation. What you specifically, Maddie? Every photo that I look at right now on like Google, it's just like you saying like, "Let's go."
Yeah.
Or, I guess I don't know what you're saying, but you definitely talked about like the energy that you bring. What does that do to a team, you think, or like what else do you bring to this Texas Tech team that you think is maybe like unique with you, or how you like to play? But all I can say is next season I'm gonna be fired up to watch you play and have that execution. Yeah.
So like again, how I was saying, I'm just very big on like energy, and I just love to get hype for other people too, because I think it also takes the attention off of yourself. And so you're able to like kind of make all that energy towards your teammates, and you're not necessarily thinking about what you have to do. Because like as a defender, when people play their best, it's when they play like free, and you don't have like, you don't think, you just do. And so I really find myself, when I put that energy towards my teammates, like it makes me hype itself, and then I'm able to play at a hype level as well. And like it also just helps my teammates, because it's like if no one gets excited, like that's just really discouraging. And so it's like as long as we have one person at that point, like that's really all that matters. And so a big thing that I think us as like a team, we really want to try to get fans more involved that way, and try to like get them understanding what to cheer for. And I feel like, because like you said, like volleyball is like an upcoming sport that's getting more popular, but it's like I don't think a lot of people are aware about like what things really need to be like. Okay, we need to get really hyped for this, or things like that. And sometimes it's hard.
Give them like a score sheet right now. Like, hey, when you come to these games, these are the moments we need y'all to get loud, and these are the moments we need you to be quiet. Like, like a free throw, like in basketball. Like, this is the level.
Good point.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing, it's like when we get a good block or a good
dig,
hustle play, exactly. And so that's like, it's all about the momentum. Yes. So it's like if you get a hustle play or you get a good dig, like that is when you just need to go crazy, because then like say it's a long rally, and so
those are my favorite.
We're like, so you're going back and forth. Like us as like players, we're exhausted during the play, and I think what helps us keep going is if we hear that energy, we're hearing people screaming, we're hearing people cheering for us. That's gonna keep you going, you know. So it's like those are the big things, like the kills and all that. Like that's, you're gonna just cheer automatically, because that's just the most exciting parts of it when you're watching. So it's like those are fine, but it's like the small things that you don't necessarily think that more people are like wow. Instead of that, like we need to be like scream. Like I don't even care if it's like nothing. If it's just screams, like that still helps. And just so
rationally,
exactly. And so those really, I think, will help bring that energy, and kind of like it'll teach people like, oh, this is good. Like we really need to like reward this. We need to make sure that they know that we're like supporting them. And like it's like, in the USA has a good like acoustic, so like acoustics, exactly. So it's like even if it's like 10 people screaming, like that still helps.
We're gonna make it our mission to have way more than 10 people there.
Thank you.
We're gonna get the students to show out if we can, if nothing else. But that makes sense. So you're like on those long rallies. Well, people are just like probably sitting there in silence, like marveling. Oh my gosh!
Exactly.
Y'all are like, we appreciate y'all marveling at our talents, but could y'all yell as well? Like, get out of your heads and being like screaming like y'all do at basketball. Like you don't just be like, oh my gosh, that was a great play. At basketball, like lose your mind. It's okay. That helps y'all, not distracts y'all, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
I think that's cool. And like learning this too from you, Maddie, and I think helps people understand the game too, like the rules and things like that. And it shows that they're like paying attention, right?
Exactly.
Like, but yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I have
a question for you. So it seems like some other sports we've talked about have kind of talked about creating traditions with fans at the games. Like softball wants to bring the tortillas back to their dugout and stuff. Is there like a tradition that you wish maybe would be cool to see Texas Tech fans start at your games that you've seen at other schools? Because like in softball, they like what they do at Oklahoma State in the outfield. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but they have this cool thing going on in their outfield. And our softball players have mentioned that as well. So like, is there something in volleyball you're like, oh, that school does that, we should do our own version, or something completely random you've seen in your club days that you'd like the students to get into the game more?
She's honestly, like, get the masked rider on the court and have that horse go up and down. Very dangerous.
That's a great question. I think, I don't know, I just see a lot of schools, like, when they have, like, their fans in the stands, like, they find a way to, like, I don't know what they're doing or, like, what they're holding up, but it kind of, like, looks like one big, like, wave. Yeah, something like that. Like, I always think that's really cool, and like that's really like hype.
Okay.
Like, I think that would
mental
make
note city.
me
Go to the fabric store and bring some friends and do a wave.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah, that would be great.
We're gonna make it happen.
Cool, I got you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So we've been talking to you for a while now. And one question that maybe to wrap up, unless Shelby has something else, what is something that you wish more Red Raiders knew about like volleyball, about you, just Tech fans in general? What would be something that you would hope that they know or would learn from listening to this and watching you?
I think the biggest thing is just how much of the support that we like really want, and like it's really hard to like see other sports and other teams get just a ton of support, which is awesome. Like I would kind of want that all across the board for all sports. And so I think us as a team, that's another big thing about us, is like we have to, like, we want to play for y'all, and like we're ready to like kind of be a part, like be a representative of Texas Tech. So it's like, I think that's for us is like we really just want that support, and like whether they know what they're like watching or not, you know, at this point, like it's just a fan is a fan. So it's like we really want to get that involved and get more people at our games just to kind of experience, because volleyball is such a fun sport to watch.
So much fun.
So it's great to be a part of, and it's really cool to see other schools get massive amount of fans, because again, like women's sports, like it's just a win for one like school is a win for everyone. And so I think that's our biggest thing, and we see it happen at other schools. So we're like, we see Texas Tech fans. Like we know that these fans are ride or die. So it's like at that point we want that to be a part of us too. And so we want that across all teams at that point. But especially this fall, it's like, let's get as many people as we can to volleyball games. Let's get as many people as we can to soccer. Like especially like these fall sports, it's like we really want that like camaraderie that you get at basketball and you get at football and baseball and stuff, because it's crazy. Like I love it, and I like that helps the team as well. Like that makes them want to like play harder for y'all and like win more. And I think it's so much easier to play when you know you have people like supporting you. Things like that. So I think that's just the biggest takeaway that because when y'all like reached out to me, I was like, okay, like this is the perfect opportunity to like get some like hype around volleyball and like really get people kind of just knowing, because people don't know, and that's okay. Like they don't have to, but it's like kind of teaching them like, oh, like volleyball can be just as fun as basketball, and like stuff like that. So
I think that's kind of like what we're trying to do on this, and we saw that last year with women's basketball. We're like, we hype it up. We're not saying it was just us; they were playing well as well. And then by the end of the year, they're getting 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 people in there for the WNIT. And I think there was a lot of people that were like, "Wow, women's basketball is like
really
awesome.
good."
This is like, it's a whole different game than what the people that just watch men's basketball. Like this is kind of a different game, and I love it. Like this is real basketball. And when you go watch, like I didn't play volleyball, but I've watched a lot of volleyball, just friends playing it. And it's so exciting, especially when you have those rallies going. Like there's that matches any sport's biggest plays when y'all have that, and you're the one making those crazy digs, diving and keeping those things going. Like we just got to get people there, like you said, and experience it. And what you're saying is like, hey, we understand if you don't understand the game yet, but come to the games and you'll learn with us. Come out here and scream, just scream.
Yes.
And if you'll figure out if you're screaming at the right time eventually, and we'll try to teach you along the way. So we're gonna hype y'all up all season. Don't worry about it.
At that point, it doesn't even matter, as long as you're just making noise, as long as you're just there to show support. Like that's all us as a team could even ask for. And so it's like so funny, because like we try to get a lot of us try to go and support like women's basketball and like soccer and those teams like that, because it's just like, well, we love them by like just on their own, like personality wise, but like it's just like you have to go and support those teams, because it's like, and you see how like it's fun, and it's like really cool to be a part of, and like because we went to a couple of those basketball games, and I like made sure I was in that front row because I was like, I need to like be a part of this just like environment, because it was so cool to be a part of. And like I also just love the basketball girls and the soccer girls and stuff like that, but it was just really cool to be a part of, and I really want everybody else to experience that as well, kind of like how we were too, because like we don't know, a lot of us don't know, I don't know anything about soccer, like I don't know a ton about basketball. I went to a few softball games, and those were so fun. Like, I really enjoyed those.
Yeah.
And so, like,
hyped this year.
I was getting hyped for them. And I think I went to the Baylor one when they beat them. And I was like,
let's go.
This is awesome.
The comeback.
This is crazy. And there was, like, 6 of us, I think. And we were all just sitting there. And that was, like, kind of our first time that we had. It was hard because I hadn't been to a lot of softball games before. My dad actually coaches softball, but he like kind of had taught me a few like terminology stuff. So I was like, okay, I got this. And so when I was there, I was like, this is awesome. And like, I really enjoyed it. So I will definitely be back going to more of those games. But like, I know it's just like also softball, like getting tons of people there too. And like, there was a lot of people at that game, and it was just so awesome to see. So,
and I think you're so spot on. And what you said too, like ride or die Tech fans, and like how exciting volleyball, like really all of the women's sports side of things, like women's basketball, softball, and you're talking about volleyball. Y'all, if you haven't been to a game, go. And if you have kids, take them, because they can just scream their heads off, and then they go right to bed, you know? So like, in my opinion, if that would help out, right? Yeah. But when you talked about showing up for the women's basketball games, I remember texting Shelby and being like, "There's the volleyball teams in here, and they're sitting like right behind the court seats." Yeah,
so, those were we would
y'all would stroll.
We called those our seats. We were like, we love those seats, and they were such good seats. And we're like this. We're like, we're like filming. We're like really getting hype, and it's just it's so cool to see, because you see those athletes just every day. Like we just at the cash or walking to class, or sometimes we have class with them, and it's like so cool to see them like in their element, and you're like, wow, like this is their specialty. Like this is what cool. Like it's so cool to see them, because like you see them when you're just strolling and it's just regular life, and we're just like, oh whatever, like we're all regular people, and then we see them playing these games, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool to see them like just going off in their sport, and really just like and everybody's sport is so different, so it's like it's cool to see everybody like oh, this is them scoring a goal, this is them shooting a basket, this is them just getting hype in general, and it's just like
exactly.
Like, and wow, this is cool to see.
I hope we like have some, like whoever watches this, like now has this connection to you, right? Like we know about your dad, your sister, your head incidents, like, and now for y'all for people to go and watch you play. I really hope that this video like helps towards that mission. And having that connection to you and getting to see y'all perform at the highest level that you can right now, and in a sport that is so energetic and fun to watch. So y'all's first game is August 25th, so coming up quick. Got a really cool Under Armour challenge against Houston Christian, Notre Dame, Wichita State, so a bunch of teams that you'll never see again, maybe.
Which I think is really good, because we like last year we only had one tournament at home, and like cool. This year we have 2, so it's like we're able to really like kind of get people involved early, so that they can see us when we're like at home more, because I think last year I don't even remember, we went to Notre Dame, we went to other schools, but we only had one at home, so it was really cool to see that we have 2 at home games, because I mean those are the best, is being at home in your own gym.
And can build that. You can build everything we've been talking about this interview. Fans can get to know the game early before Big Pearl gets here. They can get into it and be like, I may have come just because I wanted to support Maddie because I saw her in that interview, or I just wanted to support the team. But now I'm like, I just love the game. Like you just got to get them in the door and they'll love it. So
exactly.
Oh man, we could talk to you forever, and I wish we could, but we have to probably close this out soon. Maybe we can have you on. We can talk to y'all's media people. I don't know your rules during the season or stuff, but before or after again the season, we'll have you on again and let you talk about it. But
yeah, guys, this is so fun.
Yeah,
you make it fun. Like
you're
this is
awesome. You're awesome.
This is so awesome. Yeah. So thank you, Maddie. Again, Texas Tech Volleyball. Make sure y'all are showing out. If you call yourselves Red Raider, ride or die, we better see you there at the
You're
USA.
A student, it's free to get in. It's a fun time. It's the first sporting event. Well, I'm pretty sure it's the first sporting event of the fall, right? Maybe outside of cross country and stuff. But August 29th is before football. It's before soccer. It's the first one. Go. You're going to be antsy. Students just on campus. You ready to go to your first sporting event? Make it volleyball. Show up on the 29th.
Yep.
Yeah. So thanks again, Maddie.
Thank
and
you.
for those watching, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Again, we got a lot of cool interviews coming up, as we always do. People like Maddie, and making it really exciting to get ready for the fall sports season. So make sure you do that. And Maddie, every episode we wrap up with a wreck 'em. I know you know how to do this, so all Red Raiders, wreck 'em.
Wreck 'em.
Wreck 'em.